before going to
Yeah.
presentation, and we have amazing insights in this during the session, I would like to ask, what are your thoughts in like many e-commerce brands struggle maximizing customer lifetime value despite having strong CRM platforms in place?
Thank you for this question, because it touches the core of the issue. Many e-commerce brands struggle, in my opinion, because of transactional mindset that they still maintain, even with advanced CRM system that they have. They focus, for example, on optimizing return of on ad spend and individual transactions, rather than looking on a customer relationship over time. I see three main reasons for the struggle. I may say. The first one is when brands often confuse purchase repetition and with loyalty.
Okay.
While CRM system can help drive repeat purchases through discounts and promotion and so on, but it it doesn't build true loyalty. It just
I see.
creates a need of more discounts in a customer's mind.
Mm-hmm.
I need to highlight, here a difference between retention, loyalty, and repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Retention is not a loyalty. Loyalty is not repetition,
Mm-hmm.
and retention is your goal in an organization.
Mm-hmm.
Loyalty and repetitions are two ways to reach your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Each one plays a role. Retention is ability to hold customer in time,
Mm-hmm.
measure, and it should be measured in time.
Mm-hmm.
Loyalty is a bond, something emotional bond with the customers, and it works even with no discounts, and it generates recommendations. Yeah,
I see.
and repetition is a behavior pillar, and this is measured by the KPI. Reacted on promotions, it's easy to stimulate,
I see. I see.
and
What
I
are
can
the,
I can, in one sentence, I need to summarize
please
this.
go ahead. Please go ahead.
Loyalty without repetition,
Mm-hmm.
they are just fans without revenue.
I
Repetition without loyalty
mm-hmm.
is some kind of discount addiction. So it needs to work together to generate health growth. So this is the first reason of struggle, in my opinion.
Okay. I think what is the if I understand correctly, like the CRM is not being used for this some certain specific parameters. You cannot track the loyalty. You cannot track the repeat purchase performances through CRM.
Yeah.
CRM is more like a focusing on retention and how to retain your customers in your platform. That's fantastic. I would like to go with Uzair. What are your thoughts on like the on top of what Rafal mentioned, Uzair? Thank you for being with us, by the way, once again. What are the most common challenges in implementing retention and loyalty strategies? Since Rafal mentioned the difference, so like the how the e-commerce brands or marketers should be careful. What are the things that they need to be careful about before implementing the retention and loyalty strategies?
Sure. Thanks, Elias, for the invitation, and hello, everyone who was part of this webinar. First of all, I want to mention that in today's time,
Mm-hmm.
technology is definitely not the problem when it comes to implementing retention and loyalty strategy. Okay. What goes is how this is structured within the organization, how does the stakeholder management happens, and how
Mm-hmm.
do you see CRM or retention or loyalty contributing to the overall organization over here? I would say I would like to club it into 4 points. Okay. The
Mm-hmm.
first one being that what is the expectation of CRM as a channel within the organization? Okay. Most of the companies mostly see it as just one channel that can maybe scale or maybe bring 10,000 more customers on top of what other channels are already doing it over there. If you're going with this approach, that's a very short-lived approach because you're just looking at first-time customers rather than
I
building
see.
any solid retention and loyalty strategy over there. So the first thing is, what do you expect from CRM as a channel? It should not be scalability, it should be longevity of a customer.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is the attribution modeling. Okay,
Mhm.
the way e-commerce companies and all of them are structured, it's always a battle between who brings more orders, what is the share of CRM revenue, share of CRM orders within the total orders that a company is generating. Which sort of I disagree with it, because let's say if you start running everything in paid ads, then everything is paid attribution. If you stop
Mhm.
running paid ads, then everything is technically organic in nature. So segregating it and clubbing the orders, and let's say like from an attribution perspective, and then judging retention and loyalty performance on top of that, that's
Mhm.
not going to help over there. Okay.
I see.
Uh, the third part is the budget expectation and roadmap alignment. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, yep, it's people usually club CRM as a free channel, but it's not really free. Okay. To
Mhm.
have a solid CRM system, to have solid retention and loyalty strategy for the future, you need to invest some money into this as well, which sort of gets deprioritized within the organization, or the company or the employees or the people over there, they might not have the right capabilities to assess the correct ROI that
Mhm.
can be generated out of this loyalty and retention campaigns over there. So a very good knowledge around how do you want to work on it, that's very, very important. Okay.
I see.
uh, yep, I guess pretty much these are the challenges. One last thing that I would like to add is the CRM is now becoming sort of a more of a technical marketing rather than just sending blast emails or just doing around some content stuff over there. A lot of CRM things actually depends upon product and engineering team. They need to help us develop those capabilities within the organization. Okay, now within the organization, CRM might sit in marketing, but they have a lot of dependency on other departments, which is like engineering, technology, product over there. So again, stakeholder management, how well you fit your roadmap into theirs roadmap, that's also very important.
I see. I see. Like on top of what Rafa mentioned, like the creating differentiation in between loyalty and then the CRM. CRM cannot be treated like a part of the marketing, but it's a brand new channel. Companies and then the almost all stakeholders should be investing in and betting on the technology and then investing money wise too. And on top of that, like the attribution, how you are going to attribute the revenue that you're going to generate from those customers where you utilize the segmentation and targeting capabilities of a CRM platform. And then the one interesting thing, attribution. Recently, I had a discussion with a retailer, which I don't want to name, and they said that yes, like at the end of the day, with all the vendors that we receive a end of year report, end of quarter report, when we sum it up, it is 3 times higher what we have in the bank account. So that's why they are also struggling their attributing. So I'm coming to conclusion what you are saying together with Rafa. So you need to track the right parameters. If you are focusing on loyalty,
Yes.
loyalty's tracked parameters should be different when it comes to the retention and everything. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Just
Great
sorry,
insights.
just one thing over here. Yep,
Please go
if
ahead.
not attribution, then what? Okay, it should be incrementality.
Mhm.
That should be the object. So that is something I always pitch to the companies as well. If you're not looking for attribution, it should be incrementality that you should be looking at.
Okay. I have a follow-up question, but since we have a limited time, I will keep it for myself. Maybe we can utilize in another session on that question. Thank you very much, Uzair. So, if I continue with the webinar outline, what we are going to cover, very first one, the role of CRM in customer value optimization, and then we will continue with overcoming challenges driving repeat purchases, and after that, like the cost of doing nothing, meaning that what brands lose without replan it. Art will be covering that part. And at the end, we will be having a short panel discussion. And then if we will have time, we would like to receive some questions. There are already a couple of comments, a couple of comments related to sound, I believe, like we sorted out, but we will be answering those questions too. So, Uzair, if you don't mind, it will be great if you continue with this part of the presentation. Stage is yours.
Yep, sure. Thank you so much. Yeah. So basically, we want to understand that how can we actually what is the role of CRM in the customer value optimization over here? Okay. Uh, I want to start off with identifying that how can we know what are the high value customers and how can we actually predict the repeat purchases over there. Okay. I usually do it into 3 ways. Okay. Number one is the identification stage, which I call it. Number two, what are the data-driven approaches that you're applying to it? And then what are the actions do you want to take into it? Okay, so all of these things needs to go out and fall into a proper process over there. When we talk about the identification stage, so traditionally we already have RFM as one of the way. Okay, in which you can go and see what is my high paying customers, what are my loyal customers, what are my churn customers, about to churn, all of these things. Okay. So identification through RFM is very important thing, and that can be done if you have a proper streamlined CRM system in place with all the correct data attributes coming and all of these things. There are some other ways as well of identifying high value customers, which could be apart from RFM. It could be through a traditional customer lifetime value calculations. I sort of disagree with that as well, and I would take this stage to mention that. The reason being that the lifetime thing is something it's subjective in nature. So I will not name a client, but there was one company that I worked with. They are like a 200-year-old brand, okay, and they started in e-commerce, which had less than 3 years of data into running, and they asked me to calculate the CLTV for that, which we did, okay, because the CRM had the capability and had the data for 3 years, okay. But when I asked and said to the brand team, how do you calculate your CLTV for them? It was like, yeah, we actually see someone buying with us for the next 20 years. Okay, that is the point I realized that CLTV sort of looks like a vanity metric. So you might have the data, but is it the right identification tool for coming up what is your high value customers are? That is not the right way to do it. Okay, so CLTV, but yes, it's the right thing if you're really sure about what is the lifetime. If you just want customers to pay you off in the next 3 years, okay, then it's fine, then you can do that. Otherwise, not, definitely not recommended. Apart from that, you can also look at some behavioral segmentation, and then you can start clubbing over there people who might be who might have not purchased yet, or who might be purchased at a very low value, but they might come out to be as very in long run, they might show some good signals that can tell you that they are actually high value customers over there. And obviously with these time period right now, you have a lot of AI happening around everywhere. So if you can leverage some AI models as well, true AI models, and not just fads, or just I would say literally just prediction model, not those, but yeah, into some good AI model that are really backed by some data, that would be very good. So the first thing that I really see that CRM can do is actually help you out in identifying the real customers through these different approaches over there. Then the second part which we can look at is the data driven approaches that it can definitely bring into it, okay, which is mostly around your that could be really helpful if you really want to use those things for repeat purchases, okay, because that is ultimately the purpose of CRM. Okay, you have identified who your good customers are, you have built the personas around it. Now it's time to actually get them rolled out and see, okay, how can actually increase the repeat purchases over there. So when we talk about repeat purchases, the first thing that a lot of companies fail to understand is the purchase pattern. They are unable to build the downstream behavior, okay.
Definitely.
They might tell you, okay, what could be the product that people would be buying for the first purchase, but what goes down later, they might not be able to answer that. Even if respective, if identified your high value customers, if you don't know what track do they follow, that's not right. uh, that's a common challenge across the industry, across the verticals, but there is a reason to it, right? Because technically there's a vast amount of data that is there, okay, and some of them is actually a noisy data as well. So manually it's not possible to get that done, okay, that you are unable
Yeah.
to build that repeat purchase pattern over there. So but obviously with the technologies advancing right now, you do have the capabilities where you can actually put that a sort of a purchase pattern recognition model in place that can tell you what can you do. Apart from that, traditionally you also have those churn prediction modeling, propensity modeling also available as well, that can help you out in doing these things. But I would say that these rely on them if these are like 10% of edge cases. 90% of the time what you really need is the just a simple thing, okay, which is understanding your downstream behavior. You don't need to go into fancy stuff if you're not doing the remaining 90% things right. Yeah.
To be honest, like the great closing, Uzair. Thank you very much for with fantastic insights. Like the especially, I love the idea of like the getting the raw data and then the turning into the meaningful segment groups. Like what is your churn definition? Because it is differentiating from vertical. So your churn definition will be different. So how you are going to approach this customer, depending on the AI models, depending on the propensity models, it differs. So it is great to understand that like just having the data and putting into CRM is not enough. You should also work on defining your segments and then understand when you engage, when to remind, to repurchase, and so on and so forth is important. At this point, I have a question to Alp. So how does Replanet enhances and utilizes CRM data to drive repeat purchase behavior? If you give us an understanding, like for our audience, that will be fantastic.
For sure. Thank you very much for everyone. And thank you very much, Uzair, Rafal, and Ilyas for actually joining us today. I think Uzair and Rafal has already explained what would be the ideal CRM strategy compared to 20 years before, 10 years before, and today with the era change. And what Replanet does to the CRM data and how it enhances it. The Replanet uses actually the machine learning model to enhance the raw CRM data to make
Mhm.
sure that uh, optimal time is determined for every customer for every product that they purchase. So Replanet is acting like a additional decision making engine for the CRM data available to make sure that everyone is receiving their repeat purchases and repeating their longevity with the brand itself
Mhm.
on automation. So that's actually what Replanet does.
Mhm. So, like what I understand, like when I am as a marketer, like if I'm a marketer, I have my CRM in place, set the focus, like Rafal mentioned. I'm going to increase the retention of this users, and then they divide into the meaningful segment groups in the CRM. So, like what is left to Replanet is to decide when to engage to those customers by understanding the data, if I understand correctly.
Exactly, exactly. CRM sits on the what side and the raw data side, and the Replanet is actually enhancing this data, using this data to identify when.
Okay, so like that brings to question to me and to Rafa. I have a question at this point.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like how like the CRM platforms are lacking in terms of feature. What are the pitfalls that you experience while you are implementing a CRM strategy, CRM platform? If you share your
Mhm.
experience with us, that will be fantastic at this point, Rafa.
Sure, no problem. I will focus on time, exact time, and the best time to communicate to client to repurchase, because this is one of the most important factors to gather next purchase. So, in terms of this practice and working on this perfect time, the biggest issue that I had and my teams in the past was to manually segment right segment and person, and then to add on top the exact time that is the best practice to run communication. So, in other words, because when we use manual segmentation, we then need another segmentation and another segmentation. And the key is to enter this manual approach is ineffective. It cannot be effective. And a lot of organizations lie themselves that this will improve their revenue and results. It won't. It need to be automated because marketers need to dive deeper into one client perspective and product perspective. It cannot be done manually because all the cost of manual work of segmentations and so on will be higher than potential results, because we are talking about only about potential results, not
Hmm.
exact ones. So yeah, this is the main thing, and I will focus on this one. But
Hmm.
this manual approach ineffective, so we need to look for solutions that will automate and prepare this kind of prediction of best time to communicate to one person
Hmm.
with product. Yeah, so this is the goal, and this is to those models to predict this on this perspective level.
I see. So, like what I understand from you, when you set these segments placed in
Yeah.
CRM, and when you decide to engage with those customers, you like they're basically like the saying that guys like to engage with those customers one on one in personalization level. Either you need
Yes,
to do
exactly.
manually, which is a pain like for a marketer, almost impossible if you have thousands of SKUs and millions of visitors per month.
Yeah.
So in that case, like you need a system to understand the customer
Yes.
consumption pace, and then at the very same time, let me know to engage with those customers. So marketing think afterwards. So what are the performance points? What are the improvement points of these engagement plan when you have the right time for specific segment group? Keep the microphone with you. Keep the microphone with you, Rafal. So like, because I would like to continue with like the overcoming challenges in driving repeat purchases. This is a fantastic part. So I believe our audience will enjoy this. So stage is yours again.
Yes, sure. So let me start with on this slide with a myth-busting fact from this slide. So look here, even discounts cannot ensure repeat buyers. Even discounts. Yeah. So as you see, 16% of discounts-driven customers become repeat buyers. It's not much, and this means that for every 100 customers you acquire through discounts, 16 and 84 won't come back. Yeah. So this is a fact, as a certain fact, but in terms of barriers and overcoming those challenges. The challenge is for sure the poor understanding of customer needs. And the third one is inaccurate retention communication. We talk about the time, that the perfect time to communicate to customers. So I will focus on those two barriers. And now to overcome those barriers, let me show you and explain how these elements can work together on a picture of some kind of customer value flywheel. So we've got a few steps here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The first one, the most important, is understanding the client. So it means to answering as a marketer the most important questions. Mm-hmm. Who are your customers? Mm-hmm. This is easy one. This is kind of all the demographic, geographic data, quantitative data, behavior segmentation data. This is easy part, mm-hmm. And this is first question. The second question is, how do you interact with brand, with customers? So, and how they buying behaviors are. So here we need to answer the question about, for example, customer journey mapping, touch mm-hmm. point analysis, channel preferences, and so on. So we know who are our customers, how they interact with the brand, and the third question that we need to answer is why. This is the hardest question to answer. It's tricky. I will not go in details about it because I would like to jump to the other part. So if we know more about customers, we have understanding of segments and their behavior, then we need to jump to build strategy based on company values, focus on convenience. We see this on the slide. Yeah, convenience is very important thing in terms of service, in terms of e-commerce and retention.
I have an in-person study which I experienced this weekend, Rafal. I will add as an example. Great point that you mentioned. Like discount is not the point. Convenience.
Yeah. So build strategy is the second thing. Then the third one is implement tools. The mm-hmm. order is very important because a lot of organizations start from technology. I saw a few posts on LinkedIn, for example, last week. People mm-hmm. asking, what is the best CRM? What is the best marketing automation tool? But with no context, with no need. This is the example that sometimes organizations starting from not proper points. So the technology is on the first step. Mm-hmm. The next one is automate and optimize. We know the client, we have strategy, we have tools, we need now to automate all the environment and optimize. And here, having this information and strategy, we can, and using this technology, for example, as Replany, we can prepare campaigns, scenarios, and so on to target customers in a perfect moment, for example. Yeah.
I see. I
Yeah.
see.
And the last thing about this, so the fourth step is to ask for feedback. And asking feedback to the client will create a momentum to the first point. So, better understanding of customers. So, I see this process as a cycle,
I see.
not a linear way. So,
to be honest, like I totally agree. Like this Friday we had a short trip and we needed our cats to be at home like for 24 hours without us. And then before leaving, like we realized that there's no like to be honest pet food, like the food that they preferred left. And it's early in the morning, and then it's kind of the shops are not open. I'm not looking for a discount. I know why I'm not buying, and then for a long time I'm using a shop, and then they don't remind me. They don't remind me, by the way, right time. And then we needed to buy somewhere from offline, and they lost my cycle and they lost the opportunity. That's why, like, I'm just thinking that like, whenever it comes, like, I need to bring this solution to the market as soon as possible, and then we are doing our best to help the marketers in the future. And I love the idea who, channel, and why. Like, they define the segment. Like they identify the right channel to engage, and then you need to understand why you are doing it right, tracking the right parameter, and optimize it. At this point, Uzair, I have a question to Uzair, if you don't mind me asking Rafal. Like, what do you think, Uzair, like the most effective CRM and automation strategies for repeat purchases, like based on your experience so far is being done? Maybe you can think of, without naming a couple of customer names, and then go to a couple of strategies you can recommend.
I think the first thing that I would like to reiterate is what Rafael also mentioned. Okay, it goes down to the right person, right time, and the right content. Okay, irrespective of whatever you want to do and do that. Okay, if you're figuring it out correctly, then you're in the right direction over there. So the first thing is like the mix that you want to create out of this. Okay, that is very, very important over here. Then out of that, what I've also seen is the channel affinities. They've also worked very well in the past, or even with the other people I've seen that they might come and say, hey, email is dead. Okay, and actually a lot of people come and say that email is dead. And well, in reality, email is not dead. It's about how you are actually utilizing that as a channel over there. For me, transition emails have worked a lot in actually doing cross-sell and upsells, especially the order confirmation emails. Okay, this is where the link is.
Order confirmation emails, like which is a hidden gun.
Yeah.
Like I always see that like that's performing way better than like the anything else like being done in the market so far. So like that's a good one. Thank you, Uzair.
Yep. So that's one thing that has really picked up. Okay. But again, it goes down to what are you going to this in this email and how you are going to show it. So, okay. So it really works over there. Then apart from channel affinity, what I also, let's go in a bit more detail within that channel. Okay. Obviously you want to have very good product based recommendations. Okay, so you need to have a solid model running in background that can actually say, okay, what is going to be relevant for this person over there. Moving forward, I've seen a lot of companies now talking about replenishment as well, especially when it's about FMCG products or anything else as well. If you can sort out that strategy, that could work really well. I haven't seen a lot of companies doing that, or even if they're doing it, that's part of a personalization or recommendation practice, but not as a standalone replenishment strategy for loyalty over there. Apart from that, for a couple of companies, I've seen some sort of occasional and seasonal campaigns. They have worked really well. Again, but for that, you need to really understand your customer data. Okay, what is their buying pattern? What is the seasonality involved over there as well? What do you think they'll come back? So in this region, we focus a lot, specifically in MENA region, we focus a lot on Ramadan as a season. And right now, like if you go out in the region right now, a lot of Ramadan white papers are out and people are trying to figure out, okay, what do we do with the existing database who have already purchased in the last Ramadan and they want to purchase again. So that's a very big season. So, yep, so it's the mix over there. How do you do that? How do you bring in technology to support your channels over there? And then how do you go back and link your historical data and incorporate that into your strategies as well?
Fantastic, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, like I know that like you waited a bit, but like I would like to give the audience that like what is the cost of not doing replenishment and then the repurchase reminders. So, if we continue with that one from the backstage, that will be fantastic. So, I stage is yours at this point.
Thank you, Ilyas. I think we also have a slide. I think it will come in a second to the screen. But while
Mhm.
that, I can actually start off with the cost of doing nothing and how the CRM actually has evolved from 20 years to now. What has changed in the industry? I think both Rafal and Uzer has explained perfectly. Back in days, the CRM was actually a blast channel that you sent dispatch emails, blast,
Mhm.
and then pray and expect people to come. And also, like the marketers were relying a lot on the acquisition part when it comes to keeping up the momentum with the revenue, with the targets, and everything. But as the saturation hits and as actually the acquisition cost spiked a lot, that actually created additional cost, even keeping up what you were doing and that was delivering results 5 years before in the existing landscape of today. The other thing I think that is really important and generally overlooked by the marketers is, again, it's coming from the heritage, because when we start, like when the e-commerce started, when the CRM marketing has started, acquisition was always an easy and sustainable channel. So we had this in mind, and mainly most of the brands are actually overlooking focusing on retention rather than the acquisition. So that's, I think, two of the things. Even with doing the standard functionalities, brands are losing revenue. And what they are losing, the cost of doing nothing. There are a couple of actually insights and the statistics that our audience can see in the screen, but I want to focus on losing just 1% of your customer is costing up 25% in the profit at the end of the year. So that's, I think, really huge opportunity that brands are leaving on the table. And also, Rafal mentioned really cool statistics. 80% of the revenue comes from the retained loyal customers, repeat customers, with the there is a Pareto. So I think the focus should be on the repeat customers in terms of doing that. And in the AI era, as Uzair and Rafal said, you need to, whatever you are doing to engage with your customer, you need to make sure you have the right content, right time, and the right user with an automation, because cost of doing nothing versus cost of doing everything manually is equally the same, because you will either lose your focus, other strategic initiatives, or you will lose the money. So the cost of doing nothing is huge, especially in 2025 and beyond. But to put it into perspective, with AI is in place, if brands do not actually do this and use the AI, this automation, they lose 20% of their existing customer base in each year, which means they need to spend more time, more effort, and drastically more money to recover that time back. And it's getting harder and harder, and it's not sustainable. That's, I think, the most important thing. The second thing is that timing is everything right now. I'm referring a lot to the historical information, but back in days, the users, our consumers, the end users, attention span was higher. But now all the habit has changed. Attention span has drastically dropped, and the customers, if they don't see what you are sending relevant, they skip it and you lose them. So the timing is really important, and the brands, they do not focus on timings, rather just trying to limit themselves with the adding a name on the email or adding static promotions, discounts, either actually end up in discount driven, not retained, not loyal clients, or completely lose that money. I think I would say the cost of doing nothing is drastically important right now and harmful to the businesses. And I think on top of that, like we discuss a lot, what needs to be done, what needs to be done, what is the ideal setup, what is the ideal strategy. I think everybody has this in their mind in the case, but there was no actually a system that you can achieve it. So the Replanet that we do, like how do we tackle this? How Replanet fixes these issues with with churn? With churn, like in order to prevent churn, the equation is simple. You need to find the relevant content, relevant people at the relevant time, which you need AI to predict individually for every customer when they need to repurchase, when you need to engage, to not to spam them, to not actually abuse their opt-in or or engagement with the brand, with your brand, and that's it. So the Replanet is helping that by making sure that everyone is receiving timely reminders. With the CLTV, with the drop-offs, with the passive churners, lapse customers re-engaged. I think Rafal mentioned really great strategy with you need to work on the data, segment audiences and strategies to work on the retention strategy. You can automate it with Replanet when it comes to the repeat purchases, not by rule-based segmentation or gut feeling segmentation that you have, but truly data-driven way and one-on-one personalized for every customer. The other bit, I think customer lifetime value, it's the longevity that we are trying to aim. We want to keep the customers as loyal, as retained as possible. And we have access to AI now. So with AI, you can create bundles. You can create, like with Replanet, you can create bundles. You can create, okay, customers buying serum, but generally they forget their moisturizer. So you can also create this sort of product level, product user level insights to identify the next campaign, next actually options available to drive cross purchases, upsells, or actually even sending samples based on the user's next purchase, not the regular set, like the samples that you attach to everyone as a regular. So that's also another one. And like the timing, we were discussing it like with the timing right now, the CRM solutions, traditional marketers, they always have to set up a static timing. So if somebody purchased this 30 days later, remind this. If somebody purchased from that category, remind that. If somebody purchased this, remind that in 13 days, 14 days. It's all on the marketers now. But there is a huge customer data that is impossible for marketers, for even data engineers to actually analyze, keep it up to date, because e-commerce and the CRM is not a static system. It's actually an ongoing system where there should be a system to act like a decision engine to understand the timing based on the seasonality, based on the user preferences, based on the unique user patterns. I think I will give that example. I do like to give that example. Both Ilyas and I have a cat. I have one. Ilyas has three. We buy the same, like the pet food from the same brand, but I need it in every 30 days. Ilyas needs it in every 14 to 12 days. So that's also actually important to not limit yourself with the big data, raw data, with generic segmentation, generic cases. But if you have ability, which we have, thanks to the machine learning and the AI enhancements, you can create the personalization on the user level with Replanet. I think that's how I can explain how
Thank you very much. I like the great insights and then the great explanation how we are doing, and then thank you very much. Like the explaining the role of CRM in customer value optimization, Uzair, overcoming challenges, driving in repeat purchases, Rafal, and then what is the loss, like the if the retailers or marketers do not do replenishment reminders with us. We are not claiming that like the CRM is useless, but like the reprint adds significant value. So like you can also calculate the potential value by utilizing this QR code, and then it's totally free, and our like the consultants will help you out. So we would like to go for a panel discussion. There are really good questions coming out. I do believe. I do believe the first question related to attribution or no, like the first Chantal's questions. So like how to know the customer's replenishment if the company is product based, because we have multiple products and every product has different timeline to restock. How replenish will help us with that, Alp, if you
Yeah, I
don't
think
mind.
I can take this one.
This
So
question to you. Yeah.
that's a great question, because what we used to with the CRM market, traditional CRM marketing, is to have a rule base systems, to have a rules, the audience. You set the audience first, then they set up the rule and everything. But when it comes to Replenet, to practically answer this, how Replenet does. Replenet is actually analyzing all the transaction data for every customer and their product payers, which what they purchase. So with Replenet, it's even better because you will be able to cover the 100% of your SKU base, product base, and each will actually assign their own duration on product level. But also, as I explained in the sample for our cats, in the user level as well, taking user patterns into account. So that's definitely that's definitely a functionality that Replenet does. And how it does is actually using machine learning, artificial intelligence, by analyzing the raw big data and granulating it to the user level.
Thank you very much for the answer. I think we have another question coming from an expert CRM person, like the CRM leader, let me call this way. We know David as well as a friend. So maybe this one goes to Uzer, because he mentioned about the attribution. How do we as CRM marketers attribute the true value of the CRM other than the last click? That's a great question.
Yeah.
I'm also
Yeah.
curious to learn. I'm also curious to learn.
Yeah. By the way, like I already answered it when we were talking about it as a point that, okay, it shouldn't be about attribution. It should be about the incrementality, number one.
Mhm.
Okay. What are you contributing towards the CRM? That's very important over there. The second KPI that I actually push the team is what is your share of automation CRM revenue if you
Mhm.
want to do it. And so I don't see the share of CRM, the total revenue, but I really want to see within CRM how much of my revenue is actually coming from automated campaigns, or what is the value I'm driving from because that is a real thing. Otherwise, you're just a very basic level CRM operator that is just relying on blast campaigns, and that's it, which shouldn't be the case. If you're maturing your CRM system, so your share of CRM revenue, automation revenue should also grow. Lastly, I would say the traditional KPIs, which is like a platform health, that also goes into it. Open CTORs, all because these are all leading indicators. Okay, if people are going to churn or not, they're sort of like they sit in your dormancy stage, and they're very critical for that element.
I see. So like when it comes to the incrementality, if I understand correctly, you basically suggest that like they implement A/B testing and then look at the audience performances and compare the incrementality, if I understand correctly, Uzair. We lost Uzair. I hope this is the answer of the incrementality. If not, I'm gonna share a post.
So
Uzair,
I'm back.
No, you are back. So like the preferred method of calculating the incrementality, if I understand correctly, like simply implementing an A/B test while you're conducting a CRM experiment. Okay.
Experimentation should be at the core.
Yeah. Understood. So like the Rafael, what is one trend in CRM that brands should focus on during this year?
I will, look at it wider a little bit, not just at CRM, but because I will tell that predicting and analyzing a large set of data and getting insights from those data. We've got, for example, a Meridian project from Google rolling out on globally. This is direction. It also can be, when we look at it through the CRM, also predicting, finding insights to run better campaigns, to make better retention strategies, and so on. So using AI prediction modeling, to get a value insight for the business, applicable to the business and the organization. This is my, I'm also very interested in this topic. So
If I
and
ask,
I feel that it's
if I ask a question like as a follow up, because AI part is really important, like from my
Yeah.
point of view. So like where it should stand when it comes to the decision making. Okay, you create a segment, and then you are planning to take an action on that segment and engage with the customers through ad, through like the non-paid channels.
yeah.
So where AI should stand
Yeah.
before this making the decision, or after like the
No.
after the decision,
I
like
have
analyzing your experiment.
yeah, I have believe in my opinion, decision need to be made by operator, by a human. So I stand on point that AI and can make recommendations, generate insights, simplify the things that are complicated, and to help operator, marketer, manager to make better decisions. It's not replacing the decision making, but it helps to improve and make better decisions. So some kind of also on the market, it's a hype word, AI agents and so on. So but from my perspective, it's not. It's also okay. It's a hype word, but I see that projects that rolling out in this area. So yeah, this is my point of view.
Thank you very much, guys. Like I do believe we are all set with the questions. And then I appreciate your time, Rafal, and then the great insights, Uzair. Like, thank you very much for explaining Replanet Alp, and then thank you very much for being with us, especially Shetal, David. Appreciate your questions; these were fantastic to understand the session. So what we have covered, like we understand the value of CRM and how Replanet can create value on top of CRM when it comes to the driving repeat purchases, and then the personalization, like the personalization. Retention strategies depending on the context, which is personalization, but as well as like the timing too. And then the sales, the short term, customer data is long term asset. The gains value with AI insights is important, like Rafal mentioned. Price is not something like the people are looking for at the end, because these are not exciting purchases, but these are my needs. So it's a matter of question where I'm going to buy it, depending on my situation too. And at the end, like we discussed, like the automation enhances CRM efficiency, AI makes it more smarter. And then the once again, thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice day.
Before we close off, there is a ROI calculator that you can also actually see how Replanet could impact your business, your CRM strategies. You can actually find it there.
Thank you. Thank you. Wishing a great day ahead, guys. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.